You want to define misogyny for people that don't know the word but were very familiar with the context and stuff?
Misogyny is hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice against women or girls. It is a form of sexism that can keep women at a lower social status than men, thus maintaining the social roles of patriarchy. Misogyny has been widely practiced for thousands of years. It is reflected in art, literature, human societal structure, historical events, mythology, philosophy, and religion worldwide.
I didn't know that. So let's check all that as misogyny, all the patriarchy. I thought misogyny was a new thing.
An example of misogyny is violence against women, which includes domestic violence. And in its most extreme forms, misogynist terrorism and femicide.
Alright, I didn't really want to talk more.
Misogyny also often operates through sexual harassment. It is.
Right, yeah, but that is not, I really didn't think it was so broad and so evil of a topic. But I really just wanted to talk about modern day misogyny, which is for like men who have a more traditional notion of women and relationships and what they expect, how they expect the dating market to go, and they have a kind of voice against women and say how women these days is hoes and women is we see different things that they say. Women is hard or it's have so much hypergamy in society and women only like men with cars and
and urge them to look for a traditional woman.
Basically, everything like Andrew Tate and his and the Manosphere community that speaks about similar things about these girls, these women ain't worth it, and they have bad ideals and bad morality, and that men expect better, so that because men not getting these girls not acting right, men not going to bother, and they're looking for a more traditional, feminine, want to be put man on a pedestal and be nice to them and be nice to men, and they don't want men to have to accept women for like the modern female. They want a more traditional female.
Well, the thing about it is because we read now from Wikipedia that misogyny is such a deep-rooted concept.
Yeah, they don't want to go into the evil part of history and thing like.
Yeah, but because it's such a deep-rooted concept and it have traces in philosophy and religion, you have to say that sometimes it may be default or natural. It seems natural from your environment, and you learn things from man to fall into misogyny in the case that he experiences rejection from a woman. So I thought about it from a outside perspective, and misogyny could come about from misogynic behaviors or thoughts or misogynic mindset could.
Right, there, go ahead.
A misogynic mindset could come about from rejection and focusing more on a fixed mindset and lack or scarcity rather than abundance and growth. A lot of us are products of our environment, right? But let's not talk about the products of your environment, like your influences and stuff, right? Like we say, the Andrew Tate community and whatever misogynic notions and things you're being taught by parents or fathers or men in society or whatever. Let's talk about it from an individual level. You as a man, you as a single man, just experiencing, just looking for a partner.
Alright, so the 3 points. First point is resentment. I think men, when they feel insufficient, undesired, unworthy, or they think because of some kind of comparison to stuff that they've seen on social media, like even if a man is pursuing on a journey of like a fitness journey, right? And he watching a lot of YouTube fitness things that are real jacked men with very low body fat and stuff like that. I think like the more he viewed this idealized image from like a fitness guru, is the more when he look at his own self, he might hate himself. And the more like the lower his opinion of himself might be because he comparing himself is like the comparison trap where you're comparing yourself to some idealized version. So you view yourself lower now. And now that you view yourself lower, you think that women would view you lower, not you're not worthy of being wanted or appreciated or loved by women. So because of that now perceived injustices about this is who I am, so women shouldn't feel attracted to me. They start to have a resentment towards women for not liking them for who they are and for having they think because they have this standard of men, because they watch the standard of men, that women also have the standard of men. But that is not true in the least bit now. Because women don't really judge men by like these fitness standards and stuff like that as much. They do to an extent, but not nearly as much as how much men judge women by looks and appearances and stuff like that. Women more view men in terms of how confident they are and how sure of themselves they are. And that surety of yourself and stuff could come from any man looking anyhow, even a guy who's 5'4" or like a really fat guy or something like that.
5'4" not that bad.
But 5'2" then. I don't know. Or 4'8".
5'4" is still not taller than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going
I don't know.
moderate heights and
Oh fuck. I have no idea. 5'2". Whatever.
yeah.
So basically the mindset is these girls superficial and hypergamy killing me. And if it wasn't for hypergamy, I would be okay. But because these girls have this hypergamic thing of what kind of looks and things that they're attracted in men, I bitter. And well, they don't really say this consciously, right? But unconsciously, I think resentment is a form of like an imaginary vengeance towards somebody or something that you think wrong you.
Yeah, it's a hurt.
Yeah. It's a hurt.
It's a hurt.
And the resentment towards that thing.
It's a hurt manifested as hatred.
Mm-hmm. It's like a coping mechanism.
Yes.
To instead of facing their own insecurities and like working on what they could, like confidence and the ability to like I think like you say rejection and stuff is one.
Yeah, so it's like when you are rejected by a female and you the way you express your resentment about rejection is through hatred of women on the whole.
Right. But that's probably like rejection to me. That's like if you get rejected like once and you never try again or something like that.
Right. So rejection.
If you try for rejection 100 times, you should.
Right.
So rejection is something that's like you get rejected once. You're probably naive in your approach, and the girl finally so you're naive because girls is reading real quick. But for a man need to face rejection to harden up and to become more sure of himself and to learn that rejection doesn't kill him and that is what's make him brave and that is what's getting him into a flow state. And so I feel like rejection is a real touchy word for me because I think rejection is a positive thing.
Right.
I need more rejection.
So you have a strong kind of pickup background as well as a sales background. So you view rejection different.
Right.
And I always refer to my my knowledge in relationships, like marriage and stuff, from my business background. So like our business and what I would learn, the principles I would learn. So like if you have a client and you have a difficult client, right? And that client like drag you through the mud and say it was the worst service ever or something like that. And then so you pack up shop or the next client, you hold all the resentment for that client from the previous bad client you had. And so when you have a meeting with a client, now you just like have all these policies and things in place because you putting on that new client is resentment from the old client.
It was all the time too.
Right. Well, it is happen to business people. It's happen to everything.
Right. So okay.
So this is basically the inspiration behind my book.
That same thing.
No, is the entrepreneurship of marriage. So it's a lot of.
I know, but that analogy you just make there about.
Yeah, I talk a lot about clients.
Okay.
I talk a lot about what I would learn in business.
Right. Okay.
And how I apply it to marriage.
Right.
And I think it's the same for relationships. And it's the same for if you're single or if you are a man or like a single man. It's almost like the resentment and rejection that you're holding on to that manifesting itself now in misogyny is because you didn't have things in place or you didn't have the proper mindset then to say, no, I'm going to take this rejection from this one female or two females or three females and change it into something else and go again and work on myself and have a growth mindset about it.
Right. Go on a journey of being okay with rejection and learning from it, learning how to, tune up your approach and your ability to go into rapport and attraction phases in the conversation and open better and stuff like that.
Right, so that's how you would do it, right? You would, if you air this one time, two times, you will like analyze your approach.
Right, but I come from a time where what was taught on the internet, well, in the forums that I was in, that was all it was now. It was, I learned a psychological term for it recently, is called paradoxical intention, where the intention is to be rejected, but in getting rejected is overcome the fear of rejection, because it's the fear of rejection, the only thing to cure it is rejection. So in pursuing rejection, the paradox of it is that you have fixed that problem of rejection. But that is what all was taught in the internet long ago now. But the problem I have now is that I don't think men even get rejected at all or even go through rejection. I think they reject themselves before they even get rejected by women. I think they reject themselves because of different standards that I mainly blame the YouTube space, fitness industry, and maybe the idealized image of a man portrayed. And even when a man like Tate projects himself as this 6'5" alpha male with a Bugatti and fighting experience and making himself look like this is the only thing women desire, and then he still hates women, he still finds women as shit, even though he's all that. That like, to me, apart from Tate, I can't imagine any other rich man with a perfect masculine physique that have such misogyny. But I really don't think he does. I think it's just a show, but he knows that is the things that men believe, and he playing into it and he playing it up more than he should. Instead of solving the problem, he like feeding into the problem and making things easy for people to bite on and be like, yes, I know this is true. Look, he's saying this. And it's really not serving anybody, because women in the end of the day is supposed to be, if you're a straight man, women in the end of the day is supposed to be your natural partner that you love and stuff like that. And if you really reject yourself and build up a misogyny towards women who's supposed to be a natural partner, kind of having a conflict in your brain and your own will as a human, as a man, where you want this on the unconscious level because that is a natural partner, but consciously you're building up all these stories of hatred towards your partner. It could be messing with you really, really bad.
So like the client, you and you bring it to like you're messing up your whole
You will.
Well, basically you're changing the trajectory of your life. by taking the misogynic part or not trying to improve that mindset, like trying to change that
Right.
mindset.
Yeah, and right. So that is the thing. I think it's become addictive. That is actually one of the points that I have over here as the next point. So one of the other before the addictive point, I have a other point. Apart from the resentment, I have this other point: entitlement, inherited cultural beliefs and morality. Many men inherit a subtle ingrained moral framework rooted in centuries old religious and cultural traditions that tell them that women naturally appreciate humility, kindness, and basic provision. The unspoken assumption is that when you adhere to these moral templates, humility, kindness, and being a provider, being a good man, then women will naturally gravitate towards this as this is strength that you have now. And when men see that, okay, I'm a good man, I have good intentions, I have humility, kindness, I'm a good human, I work hard, I have a job, I have 200,000 in savings, and I have a house, a car, and still women not like grabbing onto me, and nobody appreciate me, women still rejecting me, and still going for that bad boy down the road, and still looking at you, all the wrong people, except for me, who is listen to my mother and do everything good. That's further leads to the resentments and hatred of women, because they entitled notions and morality that they think they're living up to, not getting anywhere with the modern female. And it's like instead of realizing that they had expectations from women and they have a morality that they hold themselves to, and they expect that their morality would be appreciated by women. That's kind of hard for your brain to.
It is hard. It is difficult, and it's.
I mean, like your brain can't even come to terms with that you are wrong in your morality now. So instead of your brain facing up to that, that's harder to do. It's easier to hate these women and to say that these women are wrong, not as you wrong.
It's an easier way to hate somebody rather than to try to acknowledge that is a frustrating situation and you want to use it to change.
Right.
To improve yourself.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing you have to do is to yeah, because it is a journey. I do think it's such a long journey as a life. I think that in about 2 to 3 months, a man could change his morality about being humble and kind and nice and a good provider into something that the modern female might appreciate more. I do believe that those traditional notions of morality for men come from a time where people all females were set against a religious family background, and they were forced into a belief system. It had a lot more, culture. It still have that in our country, and it still have plenty of countries with even more of that. But I'm not talking about the people who have that, talking about the people who don't have these things and fall out of that.
Struggling.
The more Western
Experience and misogynic thought.
and who don't come from a cultural family. But even if you do come from that family, because there's a big chance that the women out there, even though they come from that, they don't believe that anymore, and they go in their own way into a more part of a modern.
As a man, at some point in time, in any particular time of your life, and at some point you have you experience rejection, and you have a choice to be misogynic or to take an next path, like in your experience growing up and thinking.
So luckily for me, when I was like 16 or something, and I was having a hard time with women, and feeling frustrated that my nice guy morality and framework that might have been passed to me by my mother and my cultural background, that not working, I stumbled upon the right community that doesn't exist anymore because they get cancelled. And that community really, really taught me the correct way of changing my morality and adapting a better notion towards what women want. But it didn't have the misogyny. I think it have a harder chance of getting the correct community now because most of the stuff in the internet is men just hating on women. And most of the people that actually teaching actual skills for men to be successful, talking shit and teaching things they don't know about, and like really hate women under it, and it's sure and true. Even though they're trying to teach you how to get women, ensuring that they hate women, so they might be teaching you how to use women and view women as objects and stuff like that, which wouldn't help you either.
No.
Because you're not coming from the right place and you're just using it as a game. And women typically, as a man, I don't think you can really do that because women are a little more perceptive than you think, and you can't really hide your true feelings and stuff when you're doing these things to women. Women will sense that you're very gamey and that you're just using tactics and techniques, and you really and truly just want objectifying them. Then
No, you don't want to do that. You want to actually.
you have to pick the inner game, they call it. So it's the inner game have to be on point before you're out a game and you try to use whatever push-pull charismatic techniques that you want to use. You have to come from the right place too. But I do feel the things taught by the people today coming from the right place at all, because it's based in misogyny. So the last point I had was based on the last two things, which is the resentment and the hatred, rejecting yourself and then hating women for thinking that they reject you because you don't think you're worthy enough. The second one was the entitlement towards the cultural notions and morality, and then realizing that women doesn't hold those things as you might. The third thing is the dopamine cycle. The dopamine cycle is a concept called, an old psychology concept called social comparison theory, which is kind of look at a out group and an in group and say, well, based on how you look at the out group, which is women this time, you look for confirmation. It's like a confirmation bias, but the psychology behind that is that every time you view women now, if you already have this notion set in your head and you have this little idea planted there, the part of your brain that would activate is called the ventral striatum, which is like the reward center of the brain. So every time you see women acting materialistic or acting in some kind of hypergamy because somebody on YouTube show you this and highlight this one woman, highlight a real bad example for one.
That you have of a woman, that what did you thought about from the person that rejected you?
Right. Or seen it in real life. You might see it in real life. You might be laser focusing on all the wrong ideas, because like when you have something in your mind, it's easy for your brain, your reticular activation system, to focus in on a specific thing all the time and find that easier because it's in your brain now. It's like if you buy a red Hyundai accent and everywhere you go now, all you see is red Hyundai accents, and it's more popular in your brain now. But before it was the same number, it's just you noticing it more now. So this part of your brain, this ventral striatum, giving you a little dopamine kick every time you could confirm that you're seeing this women just like this, these bitches ain't shit and these bitches materialistic and men is good people, but look at these women, how you expect me to cope nowadays because it have no traditional women left, it have no real women left, it don't make sense, better I stay single, you know, like that whole thought of better I stay single as a man and not bother with women is crazy, you know. Because it's like, say, that's going to give up because of some confirmation bias in your brain and some kind of misogenic cycle that you went down in, and some kind of YouTube algorithm cycle that you went down in. You're just going to say, okay, this is the time I born in, and can't really help these things today. So that is it there for me. I'm going to know what they think. You're going to aim to become rich, get a Bugatti, so they can now use girls. But the girls they're really using is gold diggers that plan to use them anyhow, because women really don't care about, like real women really don't care about your material things, but they really care about your bravery as a man to approach, to talk, to have a conversation, to make them laugh, to go through the normal emotions, to be vulnerable. And it's not just about flexing something and talking down on women and just using them as objects. Yes, the whole thing is to recognize that the three causes is resentment, entitlement, and is fueled by the dopamine cycle. Is natural, is something that's happening today, but becoming self-aware of it and going down through the correct avenues, which hard to get, but we would make more talks on this because it's something that I have more thoughts in. I just want to keep this video on these three topics.
Easy to do the toxic thing, which is experience hatred and put all women in a class. It's difficult to do the right thing, which is to change and learn and grow and do.
Yeah, because of what it in media, because back when I was 16, 17, 18, it was easier. The toxic thing wasn't around so much.
See, but media not telling you how to do that. They're telling you the toxic thing.
Right. Right, yeah. Well, the algorithm is a hell of a thing too. Yeah.
I click on one.
Yeah. And the algorithm will say, okay, bro, if these things you like, here's more.
Great. So,
I think a good start is to log in YouTube with a new account.
So just like how we had the video, just like what we had the video on why the woman like bad boys, we have it here. This talk will probably be in a playlist with more talks.
Yeah. So subscribe, like, comment, tell us where we were wrong in our opinions, and we would like to carry this discussion further. And we would like to, if you have a good point in it, we would like to address it in future videos.